welcome to Monarch Herbs. We're back today. We're in the kitchen and we're going to be making marshmallows today. First of all, why do we do marshmallows, or why did marshmallows get started? Marshmallow is actually a root coming from the marshmallow family, and it is a mucilaginous root, which means it gives a lot of moisture or stickiness to the body. And so that can be good, especially extra mucus when you have like a dry cough or maybe you have sore throats. It's also good for your stomach if it's really dry. It can cause like too much acid in, so it can kind of cool it and calm it down. So we use, I like using marshmallows for sore throats. And this is one of the really good examples of being able to make a food that is medicine. So today we're going to do marshmallows, and that can be great for kids or adults alike. You can add, so the marshmallow itself has no flavor really, and neither does the gelatin that's also going to go in it. And so because of that, you can really flavor it as you wish. Today we're going to add in a little bit of vanilla to flavor it, which is really generic. But if you have a cold, that can you can also add in other things such as maybe ginger root. You could do hibiscus flowers. So hibiscus is high in vitamin C. Ginger will be a warming herb, which can help with your fevers, can help with clearing out a cough or a chest. You could also do other things, maybe like wild cherry bark. It could be a good flavoring, or cinnamon. Also would be similar to the ginger root, but of course a different flavor. So we can totally customize this to what you like. Again, meet the herbal concoction to where you're at. So if you've got these things on hand, you want to add extra, great. Make it what you want. If you don't, let's just do the basic recipe to start with, and you can see where we end up. All right, so to begin with, I have marshmallow root. It is not powdered, so we're going to powder that first, and then we'll be able to use that in our decoction here. So you can purchase marshmallow root as a powder, already powdered if you want to, but I'm just using a coffee grinder today, and that will help to grind up the herb. All right, let's get that in there. I probably won't use all of that today, but I'll save the extra powder for next time I make marshmallows. So it doesn't have to be powdered all the way down. After we boil this, you're going to strain it, and that's okay. So we'll use what we've got here. So to begin with, let's start in our pan. We're going to add 1 1/4 cups of water. That's 1 1/4. We're going to start with 1 1/4 cup of water. Get this going here. We're going to add to that a tablespoon of marshmallow root. All right, we'll stir that in. At this point, if you want to add another herb, you can do that. It's up to you. So we could add in some hibiscus flowers, we could add in the ginger, some cinnamon, whatever you like in your marshmallow. I think cinnamon could be really good. If you put in some hot chocolate, a little cinnamon in the chocolate's really yummy. So if you use it just as a fun type of a thing, making homemade marshmallows, it would be fun in hot cocoa, but of course we're doing it as a medicinal option here. All right. So we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we will bring it down to a simmer and let it simmer about 5 minutes. So a decoction is when you take water, and it's not just with tea you take water and you boil the water and then you just add the herbs to it and you let it steep. But a decoction is when you add the herbs on the stove and you boil it and then you simmer it for longer. It could be anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. And that is usually done though with things like roots, because roots are harder to penetrate with water. And so that's why you do it for a longer period of time, to help get that medicine out of the root itself. So since this is marshmallow root, we're going to decoct it today. Once this starts boiling, we're going to bring it down, like I said, to a simmer. Let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and then we'll take it off the stove and we'll continue on from there. Okay, so I've just been simmering this for the last 5 minutes, and I think it's ready to go ahead and take it off the heat. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put it into a stainless steel bowl so that I can stick it into the fridge. I can leave it in the pot if you want to do that. I just think that being that the pot is already hot, it's just going to take longer to cool, and I'm just wanting to speed up the process. But if you want to stick it in the refrigerator like that, that's totally fine. I can already tell by looking at it here that it's kind of a little bit thicker. It's definitely pulling out some of that mucilaginous effects out of it, which is pretty cool. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this in the fridge, and once it's cool, I'll be back to show you more. I let the liquid cool in the refrigerator for about 2 hours, about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it's chilled now, so what I'm going to do now is strain out the bits and pieces that are in here from our herb so that I can have just the liquid. Alright. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to separate the liquid. Alright, so about half of this, so about a half a cup, is going to go into the saucepan. There we go. Maybe a touch less. Alright, there we go. We're going to put that into the saucepan here, and then we're going to add our vanilla and our honey. I'm just going to get that started. Alright, vanilla, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, I should say. There we go. Then we're going to add in 1 cup of honey. It's a lot of honey, but we're going to sweeten this up here. And remember, honey also has medicinal value to it too. So when we talk about marshmallow being soothing for the throat, honey is antimicrobial, antibacterial, and will also help soothe the throat and help to kill the cold or whatever you've got going on, virus. So here's 1 cup of honey. I'm going to pour that in, and we're going to bring this to a boil. And we're going to boil it until it gets to 240 degrees Fahrenheit, or what they call in candy making a soft ball stage. Alright. We want to continue stirring this because we don't want the honey to burn. This is going to take us a few minutes here while this heats up. While this heats up, I'm going to go ahead and start our gelatin. So the gelatin goes in the remaining liquid. And what we need here is we need 2 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon. of gelatin. And the important thing about gelatin is you need to let it bloom. So blooming means, if you've never worked with gelatin before, you don't want to just go ahead and just dump this in. It will be one humongous clump. So what you want to do is you want to sprinkle this over the top of the surface of the liquid. Just keep going until all the gelatin is in. As it absorbs into the liquid, it will help to prevent that clump that we don't want. We will be mixing it, but it's still hard to get the clump out because it kind of forms like a layer or a coat over the water droplets, and that's why it's so hard to get the clumps out. Because once that's kind of encapsulated, it kind of forms just a total clump. It's difficult to thin it out. Alright, so we've already got 1 tablespoon. I'm going to add in the 2nd tablespoon. This is turning very thick. It's already absorbing a lot of the gelatin. Alright, and we get 1 more teaspoon of gelatin here. It's virtually all dried up. It looks like a desert in there, kind of all wrinkly. Alright, we're going to let this sit while we finish our honey mixture, and then we're going to add that honey into here in a few minutes. Alright, it's just now starting to boil. Get that nice and stirred in. The vanilla smells wonderful. So I got this thermometer here at Amazon.com. They've got a couple different options. They've got one that's more squared off, and I have that one also, but it's much harder to clean. You can also bring down the metal on it to clip it to the side of the pot. I usually don't do that. I usually just hold it in there, but it has the options. Alright, this is already starting to kind of boil here, foam up, and that's when it becomes imperative that you keep stirring that honey so that it doesn't burn. Just curious, want to see how hot it is here. You don't want to touch the thermometer to the bottom of the pan, just put it into the liquid. Turn this down just a little bit. Right now we're at about 175 degrees. So it's going to take a few minutes to get up to the 240 that we're looking for. Turn this down a little bit more. Alright, I'm going to let this cook for a moment, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to move on from the boiling. Alright, we're back, and we've been boiling here for about 10 minutes or so. We got it up to about 240 degrees. It's really close. I don't know if you can see that. So you can also tell the bubbles become a little bit smaller and more condensed, and the color becomes a little bit more caramelly color. So I think that's about ready to go. Turn off the heat. Alright, with this we're going to move over to our mixer. We need to start mixing this into here. Alright, the trick of it is that it's going to be hot, and I'm just going to have to mix it really, really, really slow. One other thing I almost forgot is a titch of salt. So let me just add that in. That'll dissolve here and mix in while we But normally I would have put it in right when we started boiling here. All right. Run as low as you can go. And as slow as you can go. All right, let's add a little bit more in, slow as possible. I'm going to go ahead and continue to mix this. You need to mix this for about 8 to 10 minutes, and I will be back and I'll show you what's going on in just a few minutes. Okay, so I've been mixing for about 5 or 6 minutes, and I decided to switch my beater to a whisk to get a little bit more air in towards the end. And so let me just go ahead and finish this up. It's starting to give me a few peaks, and that means it's almost ready to go. You can see I had peaks there, and I was kind of tracing back on that. That means we're done. And so let me just get this off of here. What you want to do is you want to pour this into an 8x8. I've got a little bit different size, maybe a 6x9 size container that has it. It's got parchment paper in it, but it also I added coconut oil to it to make it easy to come off of the paper, because as you know, marshmallows are nice and sticky. Look at that ooey gooiness. Check that out. All right. So here goes. This baby's nice. Oh my goodness, it's sticky. All right, we're just gonna pour this in. Look at that. You can already like see it being a marshmallow. Like it's already so sticky. You can see the air pockets, which is gonna make it nice and fluffy. Check that out. Love it. I'm really excited about this. Now you can use a smaller or a larger pan. You're just gonna have smaller or thinner marshmallows, and that's all right. It's whatever you've got on hand or whatever you desire. So you can see here, look at the air bubbles in that bad boy. It's gonna be nice and fluffy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this sit at room temperature, not in the fridge, at room temperature for about 5 to 8 hours. Let this set up. We're gonna be ready to enjoy marshmallows. It's so exciting. All right, welcome back. It's been about 6 hours now, and the marshmallows are ready. So I wanted to show you taking them out of the pan and the gooiness of them and what it looks like. I have learned a few things in this project, and while I was gone, I even made 2 other batches. So trying to learn by trial and error, but I wanted to see if I could make pink marshmallows. So I had put hibiscus flower in there to give it the red tint or the pink tint, except my honey was too dark. So remember, I originally used this honey, which is really, really, really dark. And so with this dark of a honey, it really made it look brown, not red. So I wanted to try to lighten the color of the marshmallows. And so I brought in a lighter honey, such as this, so that way you can see the difference of what it does. We'll have to look at the results here in just a second. So here's the marshmallows. I'm just going to pull them right out, which is nice because I used the parchment liner. And I found that there's a little trick to this here. If you even have another person to help you cut these, it makes it much more beautiful. But if you can only do it on your own, they are kind of difficult to cut, so they don't come out as beautiful as you may want them. But if they're going to be in some marshmallows or in some hot cocoa, or if you're going to be just eating them, many people don't care. So they're just very good as it is. So in order to do this, I got myself a serrated knife, and I decided to dip it in a little bit of coconut oil. just to be able to kind of grease it up and make it slide a little bit easier on the sticky surface. And I even did that with my fork. So my fork is even done, because you can see here how gooey it is. So let's see if I can just cut through this. It's kind of like if you've ever cut through styrofoam or foam cushions for like furniture. It's very similar to that. It's difficult to get through. They don't come out looking as pretty as they were, as you want them to, because of just being able to cut them. All right, so I just want to cut a piece here so you can see the difference in color. So here you can see how white this is and how dark this is. Look at how different that color is. And this is the exact same recipe. The only difference is that I changed honey. So if you want a lighter marshmallow, choose a lighter honey. If you want a darker marshmallow, or you just don't care, you can use a darker honey. So just so you know what it looks like, but tasting them, they taste a lot like marshmallows, the ones that you get in the store, except I feel better knowing that I don't need to worry about the cornstarch and the other high fructose corn syrup and stuff that you get in the ones that you buy from the store. And these are medicinal, so this will work for sore throats or colds, and so it's much better for you. Another thing you can do, I think I mentioned before, is you can powder it. So we can powder it if you want to make it unsticky, or to flavor it a little bit more. You know, we can put a little bit of cinnamon on top and just sprinkle it on to make it not quite so sticky. But cinnamon has a warming action, so it is also not only, you know, for taste, but good for a cold also. So another option would be cocoa. We could do cocoa powder on that, and that would make a really beautiful presentation also. You know, you can sift it on and make it look a little bit prettier than I am here. But it makes it really, really, really tasty. So I just want to taste a little bit of the white one to see if it's very good. The light one also doesn't have as much of a honey taste, where the dark one has a darker honey taste. But they're both really good. And knowing that I already made like 3 batches of this, and it only took, I don't know, maybe an hour for the one batch to be gone. Well, almost 2 batches to be gone. I had to stop my son, but they're really, really good. So, you know, this is a really good option to get medicine into kids instead of using something else, or adults that are finicky about tasting something. These are really good. All right, well, I really appreciate you coming and joining me and making marshmallows with me today. I look forward to seeing you again in the kitchen soon.